All right, welcome to 1 Million Cups Rockford. I'm Colin Simpson. I am the temporary host today. Super temporary host. I hosted it one other time, but I'm not really the backup. I guess Jacqueline really is, so I guess I'm pinch hitting today. So today we are here talking about business, local business, small business, and how to develop your business. So to start off, seeing if anybody has any business-related events coming up in the community. And I've got one to start. Women of Today's Manufacturing in town. It's a local women's technology and engineering group. They're hosting an annual get-together at Francesco's on February 27th at 5:30. They've got Emma Cahill, who's going to come in and talk about overcoming struggles in life and how she's been able to adapt. She used to be a horseback rider, a competitive horseback rider, fell off the horse, broke her spine. The doctors told her that she was never going to walk again, and she overcame that, decided, you know what, I'm going to walk again, and you know what, New Year's Eve, I saw her out on the dance floor dancing. So she overcame. So she's going to be talking about that with the Women of Today's Manufacturing Group again at Francesco's February 27th. They're selling tickets online. I know they've got a Facebook group with tickets, and they've also got tickets available on their website. Does anybody else know of any other upcoming business-related events in town? Nothing? Well, I guess it's February, right? It's the quiet month of the year, so we'll get right into it. So our presentation today is Steve Scully with Thaddeus Medical Systems. Now, Steve came all the way down here from Rochester, Minnesota to be with us on this Wednesday morning. So pretty great that you came down. You said you've done another couple of 1 million cups so far? All right. So hopefully this is a warm welcome here. So welcome, Steve Scully.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, welcome. Thank you for being here. Thanks for the opportunity to present. So Steve Scully, CEO and founder of Thaddeus Medical, and we're making smart hardware for temperature control and tracking of medical products. And so I started the company back in 2015 when I was a fellow at Mayo Clinic and learned about every once in a while they would get specimens from the patient's bedside down to the core reference lab, and they would not be the right temperature. In that case, they'd have to go back and redraw the patient, which is a big inconvenience. In other settings, potentially, they may not have the same protocols, and they may run that type of specimen that hasn't been temperature controlled and tracked, and that could lead to a misdiagnosis of the patient. So basically, think about it like if you have chocolate, it's got proteins in there. If it gets too hot, it can spoil. It can have a different texture. So it changes. The proteins are very sensitive to temperature fluctuation. So if they're not the right temperature, they'll spoil, and they can lead to a false positive or false negative result. And again, that would lead to a misdiagnosis and mismanagement of patients. Other issues for temperature control and tracking are you could get false potassium, high potassium, which is a critical value, and it could really mean that you are about to go into cardiac arrhythmia. And so for that indication, we need to keep the specimens at 4 degrees, and so refrigerated temperatures, and put that. We really need to do a better job of controlling and tracking those specimens that are being sourced from the surrounding community that are coming to the core reference lab, because some hospitals spend hours trying to figure out if it's really a critical value or if it's a spurious result because of the temperature exposure. Does that make sense? Okay. Other issues for temperature control in the medical space: vaccine storage. Tens of thousands of patients last year had to be revaccinated. Kids had to be revaccinated because of inappropriate storage of the vaccines. And biological therapies are becoming much more common and being sent to the patient's home. And with the increasing elderly population and more chronic disease and more e-commerce, these things are only going to be sent more often to the home, and so we need better packaging solutions for these types of therapies so that patients get the best effect from the therapy that's being sent to the home. Also, in a kind of quantifying it from a financial sense, $35 billion is wasted every year from pharma in lost revenue because of ineffective packaging. So the message is clear, hopefully, that we need better packaging solutions for medical products. And so we're coming to market with a smart medical cooler that's reusable, controls temperature at the, right now we're starting with refrigeration environmental zone, and tracking it in real time and communicating that information to the medical record, to the cloud, to the end user, to the patient at home, so that they know it's safe to administer the therapy, they're going to get it's going to be the best quality, etc. So the cooler that we've made is highly durable and reusable. We have two sizes, a large suitcase and a small carry-on, about a 10-liter payload, about that big, and a 4-liter payload, that big. They weigh about 30 and 40 pounds. Again, the temperature set point is 4 degrees Celsius or 38 Fahrenheit. The batteries, depending on the environment in which the cooler is located, it could last for 72 hours or 50 hours if it's really warm out. You can be recharged at any point along the way with a standard extension cord. And that's just what it looks like on the inside when you open it up. So the payload is on the right underneath there, and some mechanical functions on the left. The software is up and running, and so it helps any authorized user get a sense of where the item is, if it's been opened, the temperature history, as well as barometric pressure, humidity, light, shock, vibration, and the battery percentage. And that's just a better shot of the software dashboard. So who's the competition already, and what are what's currently happening in this space? So we've got small disposable styrofoam or expanded polystyrene solutions, phase change solutions, gel packs. On the right, CryoPack, Cryoport is a liquid nitrogen for cryogenic temperatures, Pelican U-line. And then for battery-powered solutions on the left, these are something that's the size of a pallet, so it's not very applicable for what we're trying to do with last mile delivery and pick up in the surrounding communities. And then there's real-time tracking solutions on the bottom, but no one's really doing all of this in one solution, so that's where we are in the center of the Venn diagram. They're doing active battery-powered solution with real-time tracking for small parcels. And so our closest competitor right now is C-Safe. They have a large military-grade cooler that is about 150 pounds, so it's not very applicable for convenient home delivery. No one is doing real-time tracking with a low weight and a reusable and durable system. And we've got a very good patent portfolio with 10 patents that have been allowed, that are pending, and provisional status, that are protecting components of the cooler and other products in the pipeline. So how are we going to make money? We're going to start off by selling it directly to small pharmacies and hospital systems that see the value of this solution and get a recurring revenue for the data. And so our value proposition is that we're improving the product integrity, the quality of the therapy, improved workflow efficiency, increased transparency. We're getting rid of all the packaging waste, that's all the styrofoam containers, and having a reusable, sustainable solution. And then the total cost of ownership comes way down after 50 uses. And we're able to convert a lot of overnight air shipments that don't need to be overnight air shipments to ground. The management team is made up of myself. I'm the CEO. Have a lot of lab experience, over a decade of research and clinical experience. Russ Sanders is our chief engineer out of, just finished at Thermo King, where they make all the refrigerated tractor-trailer trucks, so he brings a lot of great expertise to the team. And Chris Lamer is our VP of Finance. I have a great board of advisors too, a lot of different backgrounds to help kind of offset our gaps. And the market is extremely big. It's $38 billion right now for packaging and tracking globally, and it's going to triple over the next 6 years. So we're launching with the cooler this year, and next year we'll also be trying to license other applications for some of our intellectual property. And the Smart Sleeve is basically a cozy that fits around individual specimens or therapies, and will work in conjunction with the cooler. Our markets initially are going to be the pharmaceutical companies and hospital systems, and then hopefully retail supply chain, FedEx, UPS. Projections, we're trying to end this current year with 1,000 units in circulation. That would have us getting over $2 million in revenue. And with that, I'm going to thank you very much for your attention and open it up to questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. We appreciate it. So at Rockford's 1 Million Cups, one of our big focuses here is helping the entrepreneurs in figuring out solutions to the spot where you're stuck. And so before we even open it up to open questions here, our big question to you is, where in the process are you stuck right now in moving Thaddeus forward?
So, thank you. We were stuck with the team and getting things aligned, getting the right heads on board, and we've got that kind of sorted out now. We're trying to raise $1 million by the third quarter, and doing that in two different raises of 500 to get through beta, 500,000 to get through beta, and then 500 to scale up and grow the team even further. So obviously funding is an issue, but we have some good connections that we're working, and so yeah. And any thoughts about what I've presented so far? Just getting some feedback would be great. So,
got some entrepreneurs here.
Sounds good.
What do you guys think? I think it looks like a pretty cool technical product, and I've got a question on. I hear a lot about rural medicine and the difficulty of people in rural areas to get access to medicine, and so how does this kind of play into that of getting people medicine out in the boonies? I live out on a farm in the middle of nowhere. How can that help?
Yeah, so working with the retail supply chain providers, the transportation service providers like the UPS, the FedEx, the DHLs, getting this unit out to the community or rural areas is going to only help improve the quality of the medicines that they're getting, and then getting the specimens back to like the core lab in a good, reliable fashion. So I think it will help.
Who would be your ideal first customer?
So ideally, it would be any kind of small compounding pharmacy that's doing their own delivery of therapies to the home, whether it's an infusion of a concentrated product or a biological therapy that's an injection, where they need really good temperature control, they want really good tracking for regulatory compliance, they need a chain of custody, and they need to know that it's secure, and so hasn't been tampered with, it hasn't been administered inappropriately. So small pharmacies, compounding pharmacies, specialty pharmacies, those are kind of the key first customers that we're looking for right now.
Questions?
How do you power it?
How do you power it? So it's got a battery we've played with a couple different battery systems. Right now our battery is able to get between 50 to 70 hours depending on what the temperature is outside, and you can just plug it into a typical extension cord outlet in the wall to recharge it.
Is it lithium ion?
So there's it depends on what your definition of lithium ion is. So there's a lot of different lithium batteries out there. It's not a lithium ion per se, but there is lithium in it. So whether it falls under a restriction with the airlines is to be determined. But we've also used a lead acid battery, and that's obviously very acceptable for the airlines, more so than the lithiums.
What's in the battery?
Battery's about 50 hours, so a couple days.
I've also got a question about, you mentioned, airlines being able to ship the batteries. On the compressor side, the cooling side, has that been an issue to overcome of, it's technically a compressed gas and all that? Has that been an
it's a
issue?
refrigerant. Yeah, so it's a really durable system. It should be able to handle, and we're getting our third-party testing done to prove that it is in fact what we say it's in terms of its reliability. So it should be able to handle pretty severe shocks and drops and still function fine. So does that answer your question? The battery,
I think so.
Yeah, so.
I don't really have a question, but I'd say that you've done this a few times before. It shows, and the
Thanks.
presentation was very good. I thought the chart with the 3 circles was effective to demonstrate your market niche as well.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Well, at 1 million cups, we have been out of cups lately. Formerly, we used to hand out mugs every week, and I guess we ran out a little while ago. And so just this week, Rob was able to get a new set of mugs for everybody. So we will be presenting you with your own 1 million cups
Thank you.
mug.
We've also got past speakers.
We have past speakers who got cheated out of their mugs. We've got all sorts of speakers here. So
I don't know if anyone else spoke and they didn't get a mug, but I think I'm not.
if you're out there, if you were here speaking in the last, 2 months, 3 months, 2 months, if you were here speaking and you got cheated out of your mug, come on down. We're here every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Get your mug.
And if you didn't speak, you can get a sticker, which is over there.
Pile of stickers over there. Just stickers for everybody.
We've also got, so a few weeks ago we had a sit-down round table thing, and a bunch of you guys volunteered for helping out with 1 million cups. We wanted to give you the slightly different mug that we also got, but I've got an idea and I don't know if it's going to work, so I was going to fly it by you. My idea is to take this mug and to try and use a permanent marker and put your name on it. You could then leave your mug here, we'll dishwasher it and have it up here for the following Wednesday. So instead of like a little plastic cup that might spill all over you, you've got a nice china one. Or you could just take it home. And if you didn't sign up for the thing, you can sign up for the thing and you'll still get a mug. So that's not too bad. Yeah.
Excellent deal.
Excellent. So if you signed up for that, come grab a mug afterwards, or see me. Or if you want to sign up because you want a mug, then we've still got the sheet of paper over there and we'll sign you up to thinker groups. So that's all I've got.
Outstanding. It's actually Rob's new business idea. He's going to be charging $5 for the dishwashing. All right, that's all we have this week for 1 million cups. Thanks everybody for joining us. Thanks for everybody on the podcast, and we will see you guys next week.